Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw recap and results video. And Monday Night Raw tonight, I gotta say, it was an okay show, in my opinion. It wasn't great by any means. I was expecting the show to be shit as it is every week, in my opinion. But overall, it was an okay show. I wasn't bored with the show tonight. But this was the final Monday Night Raw of 2020. Next week, the first Raw of the new year is going to be Raw Legends Night, which that's WWE's fixture there, because they're only doing Legends Night so they could get the ratings up. That's all Raw Legends Night is. It's just WWE getting a chance to pop a rating because their ratings are so shit. The last, I think Monday Night Raw had like a 1.4, 1.5 there. It's absolutely terrible. Awful. So that's the only reason why WWE is doing Legends Night. Just to pop a rating. But before I get into the recap and results for tonight's Monday Night Raw, I know a lot of you have heard the shocking news that came out on Saturday, and I was very shocked when this news broke. Apparently, we lost John Huber, aka Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper. He ended up passing away on Saturday. He was 41, and he passed away. It was due to a lung issue. And his wife stated that he had been treated for a lung issue and that he was hospitalized in the ICU since October. And it was non-COVID related. So he didn't have COVID, but he ended up passing away on Saturday. Was very shocked to hear the news. I mean, the guy, was a good talent. With him being in the Wyatt family when he was in WWE, and I wish that WWE would have used him a little bit more as Luke Harper. In my opinion, he was a wasted talent there. After they broke up the Wyatt family, you had him go out there, and then you had WWE pair him back with Eric Rowan, and they were the Bludgeon Brothers, which that really went nowhere. I mean, they were SmackDown Tag Team Champions, but then, that they broke them off there. And then he ended up going to AEW, becoming Brody Lee. He was the Exalted One in the Dark Order. And his final match was with Cody Rhodes, which was a good match. And it was on Dynamite. And after that, he was off TV, and he wasn't back since. And from this news, we understand why he's been off of TV. So, but this was very shocking news, and thoughts and prayers go out to his wife and also his kids. I know he had two children. He had 2 kids. But may he rest in peace. He was a good wrestler in the ring. And that news broke out after I finished doing my my gifts that I received for Christmas this year. Like after I finished the video and uploaded it here to YouTube that on Saturday night, that's when the news ended up breaking out. So, but rest in peace, John Huber, Brody Lee, Luke Harper. Just very, very sad news. And a lot of the superstars end up tweeting their memories with him. Bray Wyatt's like tribute to him got to me. Just very emotional what Bray Wyatt had to say, because of course they worked together. They were the Wyatt family. Him, of course, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. So, and then you had Randy Orton ended up posting something of his memories with Huber, Brody Lee, Luke Harper. But it's just a shame. It's really a shame. 2020, this year fucking sucks. And we're almost done with the year, and this year could go rotten fucking hell. But may he rest in peace. So, but let's get on with the recap and results for tonight's Monday Night Raw. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight, and we had a graphic tribute to John Huber, aka Luke Harper. Unfortunately, WWE did no 10-bell salute, which I thought that was disrespectful, in my opinion. They at least should have gave Brody Lee or Luke Harper a 10-bell salute. So, but fortunately, they did not do that. But then we went to Drew McIntyre coming out, and he headed to the ring. McIntyre ended up paying tribute to Brody Lee, and he said, "It's Monday. You know what that means." He's like, yeah. So that was a tribute there to Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper, because Luke Harper always go, yeah. So I see what McIntyre did there. So McIntyre talked about the year that he's had. He ended up thanking everyone for supporting him and making him their chosen one. And of course, being there from the bottom of his heart. So he ended up talking about how he's going to defend the WWE Championship next Monday on Raw Legends Night. He then got interrupted by Sheamus. Sheamus came out, he ended up apologizing, and McIntyre wasn't buying that because he was always getting interrupted. Sheamus ended up saying, what happened explains what happened last week. He ended up saying that he promised not to hit Keith Lee during the match. So they ended up talking about their history and wanted to headline, against each other for the WWE Championship. And Sheamus ended up saying that they're going to kick off the year right. So then Keith Lee ended up coming out. Keith Lee ended up talking about what Sheamus did to him last week. He ended up saying that there's zero trust now. Keith Lee ended up saying that every fiber in his being wants to beat Sheamus's face in right now, and that he's decided to wait until the bell rings, and then he will force Sheamus to apologize for what he did last week. Keith Lee ended up saying that McIntyre should maybe reconsider his best friends. He ended up saying because later on, Sheamus may do the same thing and stab McIntyre in the back. Sheamus then went on to say that all this is happening because of Keith Lee's mouth for going around and telling everyone that he was going to turn on his best mate. So Keith Lee and Sheamus were arguing. McIntyre ended up speaking up. So McIntyre then ended up calling a referee down so that they could get the match on between Sheamus and Keith Lee. McIntyre ended up saying that he doesn't care if it's Keith Lee or Sheamus, and that he will still be the WWE Champion next week. So then Sheamus then ended up delivering a Brogue kick to Keith Lee, and then he delivered another one, and that was basically that. And then we had Sheamus versus Keith Lee, number one contenders match. Whoever won the match, of course, gets to face McIntyre next week on Raw Legends Night, where the WWE Championship is going to be on the line. This was a pretty good match here. And the match started off with Sheamus ended up charging at Keith Lee. He was beating Keith Lee down. Keith Lee ended up fighting back to Sheamus, delivered some knee strikes. Sheamus then unloaded and grounded Keith Lee with more strikes. Keith Lee ended up tossing Sheamus away and started working on Sheamus in the corner. Sheamus then took control back of the match, and he ended up grounding Keith Lee again, and it was back and forth between them. Keith Lee then ended up launching Sheamus over the top rope out to the floor, and Keith Lee ended up sending Sheamus into the apron and into the barricade. And then we saw Sheamus, he was in the ring, he went up to the top turnbuckle, and he delivered some double knees, which sent Keith Lee to the announce table. There was a point where Keith Lee, where he ended up pouncing at Sheamus, which looked awful. Where how he how he always pounces and when he pounces, the opponent flies back. With Keith Lee doing it here to Sheamus, I thought it looked awful. But at the end of the match, we had Keith Lee end up delivering the spear bomb to Sheamus. Keith Lee ended up going for the pin. There you go. Keith Lee ended up winning the match. He is now the number one contender to face Drew McIntyre next week for the WWE Championship. But if I have to predict next week, Keith Lee is going to win the match by disqualification, because Sheamus is probably going to attack. So possibly this might set up Sheamus turn heel, and then he could possibly face Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. That's one idea. That's a prediction of mine. I think Sheamus is going to turn heel. He's going to face McIntyre at the Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship. But that's what I think is going to happen. What WWE is going to plan to do. But overall, it was a good match between Sheamus and Keith Lee. Post-match, we had McIntyre end up saying that Keith Lee has the chance to prove himself. So Keith Lee ended up going over to the announce table because McIntyre was on commentary during the match. McIntyre ended up congratulating Keith Lee. So him and Keith Lee have a face-off. McIntyre ended up raising the championship in the air. And that was that. So then we had The Miz versus Gran Metalik, which I couldn't give two shits about this match. Really, I did not even care for this match. Gran Metalik ended up winning, ended up pinning The Miz. So Gran Metalik ended up winning. The Miz couldn't even believe it. He had a shocked look on his face after the match. So Gran Metalik ended up winning. Like I said, did not care for the match. Moving on. We went backstage and we saw Elias and Jackson Riker. And somebody was pounding on Elias's door. So Elias wasn't happy with the disrespect this person pounding on the door. So yeah, Jax and Riker end up opening the door, and it was Almost standing there. So we had Almost and Jax and Riker end up facing off. AJ Styles end up walking in. Styles end up yelling at Elias for playing his loud music while he's trying to deal with some business. Elias end up saying to Styles that he is just upset about not getting the job done at TLC, and that he doesn't have much time left at this stage. So Styles ended up challenging Elias to a match later on in the night. And so AJ Styles ended up making a reference to Johnny Cash, which I thought was funny. I saw what Styles did there. So he ended up bringing up about Johnny Cash, and he's like, "Dude, you're not Johnny Cash. You're more like Johnny Trash," which I thought was funny because Elias is trash, in my opinion. So Styles went on to say that he will threaten to break Elias's fingers so he can't play anymore. And that was that. Then we had Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler, which this was a surprisingly decent match here. So Shayna Baszler came out. Nia Jax didn't come out with her. Mandy Rose was out there with Dana Brooke. And the bell ended up ringing. Both Baszler and Dana Brooke went at it. Dana Brooke ended up delivering a few shots to Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler then ended up turning around, tried to stomp on Dana Brooke's arm. She was trying to stomp Dana Brooke's arm backwards. Dana Brooke ended up avoiding that. Baszler then ended up bending Dana's elbow over the edge of the ring apron. And we had Mandy Rose end up coming over to check on Dana Brooke, but Baszler ended up yelling at Mandy Rose, and she ended up walking off. So at the end of the match, we had Shayna Baszler end up winning. She ended up applying the Karafuda clutch to Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke ended up tapping out. So there you go. Shayna Baszler ended up winning the match. Post-match, Shayna Baszler ended up getting out of the ring. Mandy Rose ended up checking on Dana Brooke. Baszler then came back to the ring. She ended up applying the Karafuda clutch on Mandy Rose. And then she ended up leaving the ring again. But overall, it was a surprisingly decent match between Dana Brooke and Shayna Baszler. So after that, we went to Alexa's Playground. Alexa Bliss was in the ring. She was, swinging on the swing set that was out there. We saw the slide set up there. So Alexa Bliss was just swinging. She ended up saying that he, as the Fiend, built this playground for her. And she can't wait to show it to him when he returns. Alexa ended up wondering if he's waiting to come back on Legends Night next week. She ended up saying she bets he'd like to meet his hero, Hulk Hogan. Or she ended up saying that he could be waiting for Randy Orton to come back to her playground. So Alexa Bliss ended up saying that he must want an audience. So Alexa Bliss ended up calling Randy Orton to come out. Randy Orton's music starts up, and then it's ended up stopping. Alexa Bliss ended up asking if she did something wrong. She ended up saying that maybe Randy Orton doesn't want to help us find the Fiend. So then Alexa ended up telling Randy Orton to come on down again. Randy Orton's music ended up hitting. Then it stopped once again. Alexa Bliss ended up saying that she doesn't think Orton wants to play with them anymore. So then we had the Firefly Funhouse music end up hitting. Randy Orton ended up opening the door to the Funhouse. Orton ended up saying that he figured he would see what kind of things they had going on at the Funhouse. So Orton was shown kicking Huskus the Pig over. He then ended up taking Mercy the Buzzard, and he ended up throwing Mercy the Buzzard into Abby the Witch. So Orton ended up not agreeing with Alexa, thinking that the Fiend is going to come back. He said if the Fiend does come back, Orton will make sure he only has Alexa to come back to. So Orton had Ramblin' Rabbit. He ended up grabbing Ramblin' Rabbit and he ripped Ramblin' Rabbit. Alexa ended up yelling at Orton to stop it. So she ended up challenging Orton to get in the ring with her later on in the night. So Orton ended up saying to Alexa that this must be where he is supposed to return. So Orton then ended up accepting. Alexa Bliss was shown staring at Orton, and that was how the segment ended. But this was interesting with Alexa and Randy Orton here. Alexa Bliss, only thing going on Monday Night Raw. She's the only enjoyable part of the show. So then we had AJ Styles versus Elias, which this was a decent match here, only because AJ Styles was in the match. Elias, he is boring in the ring, and if it was some other opponent that Elias was challenging, it would have been a shit match, in my opinion. But luckily we had AJ Styles here, and he gave his match here with Elias, made it a decent match. So the match ended up starting with both Styles and Elias end up locking up. They were trading holds. Styles ended up making a quick pin attempt because him and Elias were going back and forth. So Styles ended up taking Elias down with a headlock. Elias ended up going into a scissors move. He started unloading the corner, beating Styles down, stomping away at Styles. Elias then ended up delivered a back body drop to Styles. Elias made the other cover, and Styles ended up kicking out too. So Elias was working on Styles' arm, ended up delivering some headbutts to Styles' arm. And Elias scooped Styles. Styles ended up sliding down for a 2 count. So at the end of the match, we had Styles end up winning the match, where Styles hit the phenomenal forearm to Elias. There you go. Styles end up winning the match. But overall, decent match. Then we had Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali. Ricochet has been going through Retribution. So he went through every one of Retribution except for, of course, Reckoning, aka Mia Yim. So he went through Slapjack, Flapjack, T-Bar, T-Balls, Mace, and now he went through it with Mustafa Ali tonight. Which this was a good match, in my opinion. We had Beginning of the match, Ricochet and Mustafa Ali end up going at it. Ricochet ended up getting the upper hand, and he took Mustafa Ali down. Ricochet then took Ali into the corner. Ali then shoved him. Ricochet started chomping away at Mustafa Ali. He then slammed Mustafa Ali, dropped an elbow to Ali's chest, went for a cover. Ali ended up kicking out too. So Mustafa Ali was looking to get some offense on Ricochet. Ricochet ended up countering that, and he had a drop kicking Mustafa Ali. Ali ended up getting hit with a back body drop from Ricochet. And Mustafa Ali ended up pulling Ricochet face first into the middle turnbuckle, and he kept control of the match, and he hit a leaping neck breaker to Ricochet. There was a point where Reckoning was running into the ring. Flapjack was distracting the referee because Ricochet was going to the top. So Flapjack was on the apron, the ring apron, distracting the referee. Reckoning, aka Mia Yim, ended up running into the ring, starts distracting the referee, which allowed T-Bar, T-Balls, and Mace to drive Ricochet from the top back out to the floor. So Ricochet landed hard on the ground. Mustafa Ali went to the top turnbuckle, and delivered a splash from the top to the floor onto Ricochet. And then Monday Night Raw Monday Night Raw went to commercial. So when Monday Night Raw came back, Ricochet was shown trying to fight back at Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali delivered a backstabber in the corner. So Ricochet, this was a cool part of the match where Ricochet ended up flipping over Mustafa Ali, and then he delivered a suplex, which I thought was cool. It was an awesome part of that match, an awesome move where Ricochet ended up back flipping and delivered a German suplex to Mustafa Ali. That was pretty cool. But at the end of the match, Mustafa Ali ended up locking in the Kufa clutch. Ricochet then passed out. So there you go. Mustafa Ali ended up winning the match. Ricochet couldn't get a win against anyone in Retribution. So post-match, Mustafa Ali ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up asking when Ricochet will realize he has no chance. Mustafa Ali ended up telling Ricochet that he will give him another chance. One to erase regrets, a new outlook, and a new beginning. So Mustafa Ali was telling Ricochet for him to join Retribution. So Ricochet ended up telling Mustafa Ali that he has made a decision. So Ricochet ended up saying that he will not join Retribution. So Ricochet ended up dropping Mustafa Ali with the recoil, and he retreated out of the ring before the others end up attacking him. So that was basically that, though. But Ricochet, his contract is up soon. Hopefully he leaves the company and goes to AEW, where he could be treated a whole lot more better than what WWE is doing with him now. Man, don't you all miss NXT Ricochet? How the guy was putting on 5-star matches in NXT while he was down there. And then when he was brought up to the main roster, first time he was brought to the main roster, he's like, all right, he's still good here. And then they paired him with Aleister Black as a tag team. And look where he is now. Look where Ricochet is now. Hopefully, he goes somewhere else and doesn't re-sign with WWE. So then we had Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax. Before that match got underway, we had Nia Jax end up officially announcing that she is entering the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble match. She ended up saying that she will throw everyone else over the top rope. And when she wins, she's going to WrestleMania to face whoever the champion is. She was telling Charlie Caruso this. So Shayna Baszler was also there. She also said to Charlie Caruso she likes that idea. So that was basically that. And then we got Charlotte versus Nia Jax, which you all know that Charlotte was going to win the match either way. Charlotte won by disqualification because Shayna Baszler ended up applying the Carafita clutch to Charlotte. We had Charlotte end up getting the figure four locked in on Nia Jax, but in came Shayna Baszler with the Carafita clutch. So there you go. Charlotte won the match by disqualification, which we all knew that Charlotte was going to win. So they don't want to disappoint the queen. And then we had Angel Garza backstage with Charlie Caruso. Charlie Caruso was asking Angel Garza to describe his first year on Monday Night Raw, now that the new year is coming. Garza ended up telling Caruso, like everyone there has been ups and downs, lots of love, something else. He ended up saying this new year is almost here, and with it comes new experiences. He ended up saying, Charlie Caruso ended up asking who the rose in his hand is for. Garza ended up saying that a gentleman or a lover never tells. And then R-Truth ends up coming with him, colliding with him. He's being chased, of course, R-Truth by, these challengers. Of course, the circus. You had the circus come and chase R-Truth for that Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. So Garza ended up looking sad because he saw the rose was broken. He ended up handing it to Charlie Caruso, and he ended up saying to her, "It's the thought that counts." So that was that. So we also had the Hurt Business. They arrived earlier in the day. They continued to taunt this same staffer backstage. So we saw that. And then we saw the New Day backstage. Matt Riddle and Jeff Hardy end up congratulating them on Big E's big win, of Big E winning the Intercontinental Championship. So it was a Merry Christmas for, Big E winning the Intercontinental Championship this past Friday on SmackDown. So Matt Riddle ended up saying that they need a new name for this four-man group. He was like, how about Little Bronies? So corny, so cheesy. Xavier Woods ended up saying that idea is technically already taken, and that he will explain to Kofi about it later. So he was like, how about positively Hard Bros? So that was basically that. New Day ended up walking off. Matt Riddle was shown continuing more ridiculous names for the team. And Jeff Hardy was like, oh, how about Baked Out Pancakes and Rain Bros? What the fuck? Who creates this shit writing? Baked Out Pancakes and Rain Bros. You fucking kidding me? Then we had the New Day, Matt Riddle, and Jeff Hardy versus the Hurt Business, 8-man tag. This was pretty good. This was a pretty decent match here. And the end of the match, we had the Hurt Business win the match. And once again, Lashley ended up locking in the Hurt Lock on Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy ended up tapping out. So there you go, the Hurt Business ended up winning. Post-match, Lashley was standing over Jeff Hardy. Cedric and Shelton Benjamin end up going to ringside. They end up attacking Xavier and Kofi. And Matt Riddle end up hitting a final flash on Bobby Lashley in the ring. So that was basically that. But overall, it was a decent match. Decent 8-man tag. Oh, and then we had this garbage. We had this shit. This was absolutely fucking terrible here. The Miz and John Morrison were backstage. They were disappointed with how everything has gone. And lo and behold, Adam Pearce ended up walking up. Adam Pearce walked up. He was carrying the Money in the Bank briefcase. He ended up saying that he liked to hit Miz with it, but he's here to return it to his possession. So the Miz and Morrison were thinking that Adam Pearce was just bribing them. But Adam Pearce wasn't. Adam Pearce ended up saying that they were right all along, and that Miz has to cash in for a title shot to be valid. And because Morrison ended up cashing it in. So Adam Pearce ended up congratulating the Miz. So he congratulates Miz for getting the briefcase back in his hands. So Adam Pearce ended up handing the Money in the Bank briefcase back to the Miz. And then we had the Miz and Morrison. They ended up going wild, started dancing. So fucking terrible. I'm like, oh my god. What the fuck are you doing? Why are you giving it back to the Miz? Why are you giving back the Money in the Bank briefcase to the Miz when technically he did cash it in? They're just killing the gimmick. They're just killing the Money in the Bank briefcase gimmick into the ground. They're killing it even more. So you had the Miz and Morrison dancing around like they just won the fucking lottery. Go, Miz going, dancing around. God awful. Absolutely fucking terrible. Yeah, let's kill the Money in the Bank gimmick more. Let's just ram it into the ground. So you give the briefcase back to the Miz when technically the briefcase was cashed in at TLC by Morrison. Still, you're killing your own rule. Awful. God awful. So then we had Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss ended up making her way out. And she ended up stomping in the middle of the ring. She was waiting for Randy Orton to come out. So out came Randy Orton. Orton ended up taking his time, getting into the ring. So, of course, Byron Saxton on commentary ended up reminding everyone that Alexa Bliss has challenged Orton. So Orton ended up getting in the ring. He got on the mic and he ended up asking Alexa, "Where's the Fiend? Where is he?" Alexa Bliss ended up telling Orton that this is not about him. This is not about the Fiend. This is about her. So Alexa Bliss ended up going to the timekeeper's area. She ended up bringing in a gift. And the gift was wrapped in red paper. Also had a red bow on top. She slides the gift into the ring. So she ended up dropping to her knees. Alexa ended up dropping to her knees. She opened the gift. She opened the gift and she ended up pulling out a can of gasoline. She ended up walking over to Randy Orton. She placed the can of gasoline at his feet. She had a box of matches also. Alexa Bliss ended up kicking the gift box away, and she ended up saying that she challenges Orton to do to her what he did to The Fiend at TLC. Alexa Bliss then lay down in the middle of the ring. She wanted Randy Orton to do what he did to The Fiend at TLC. So Orton was just crossing his arms, staring at Alexa. He was leaning against the turnbuckles. Alexa Bliss ended up getting up. She ended up pouring gasoline in the middle of the ring. She ended up pouring the gasoline in the middle of the ring all the way to Orton's feet. She ended up putting the can at Orton's feet also. Alexa Bliss ended up telling Orton she did the job for him so that he could go ahead and light the match. And for Orton to do to her what he did to The Fiend. So Alexa Bliss then laid down. She was like, "Damn it, Randy, just do it." So Alexa threw a fit. She ended up getting back up. So Alexa ended up taking the gasoline and she ended up pouring a circle of gasoline around herself. Orton was still staring her down. And Alexa ended up saying that Orton doesn't have the guts to do it. She wanted to say that Orton thinks he's sick, twisted, and demented. But he's not here because if he were, he'd like the match. Alexa ended up saying that Orton is nothing. He's nothing but a little bitch. So Alexa then takes the lid off the gasoline can and she ended up pouring the gasoline all over herself. And of course, it wasn't gasoline, it looked like water. So, she ended up pouring water all over her, make it look like everyone thought that it was gasoline. So Alexa Bliss ended up seething at Orton while she was all covered in gasoline, or water, as what it was. So Orton ended up taking the mic, and he ended up asking Alexa if she thinks he won't do it. Orton then ended up slowly grabbing the the book of matches, at his feet, and he ended up asking again if Alexa thinks he's not capable of doing this. Orton ended up saying that he wants to do it, but he knows it's what she wants him to do, and that he's trying to process the whole thing, because he ended up saying that he enjoys watching people in pain and suffer. And that's what he wants Alexa Bliss to do. So Alexa Bliss ended up saying that she wants to go to hell, where Orton ended up sending The Fiend at TLC. And Orton didn't want to give her what she wants. So the lights start to go down in the Thunderdome, and it goes black, and Orton has lit a few matches. So the matches end up shining a light on Randy Orton's face, and it looks like he's about to drop the matches in the gasoline, and we heard Byron, Tom, and Samoa Joe begging Orton not to drop the match, and pretty much that was basically that. That was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. It went off abruptly, setting it up on a cliffhanger. So we'll probably get the answer probably next week during Legends Night on Monday Night Raw. But I thought it was a decent segment, but just the whole ending to that was just lame. I'm like, we gotta wait until next week to know what happened? Really? But overall, Monday Night Raw was okay. Wasn't great. Wasn't boring, in my opinion. It was just an okay show. But yeah, that's it for the Monday Night Raw recap and results video. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Definitely give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow because I have another unboxing video. And I'm gonna unbox what I received because I ordered it in October, and it finally came earlier today. So that will be the next video coming up tomorrow. So until then, see you all later.